Good evening and welcome to Westport Town Hall Theatre's virtual stage for Solas sessions. We have over 20 original pieces by actors and writers from Mayo, Galway, Kildare, Dublin and the UK. We've been just blown away by the standard of pieces submitted as being vivid and funny, poignant, but most of all, original. And we're proud to platform these pieces on our virtual stage and are grateful to all the fantastic people who showed such enthusiasm in coming on board to keep theatre alive in our community in these strange times. So, all of the pieces, as you know, are free to watch online on our website, but as always, donations would be greatly appreciated. So, sit back, relax, and enjoy Solas sessions.
Hot summer sun, blinding July light, brings me back years ago to Piper Hill in Emily Beg South. I'm 6 or 7 again, bringing cows home with Uncle Anthony. Memories of bunches of dog roses, thorns wrapped in a newspaper to protect my tender child fingers. A smile, an exchange of simple love from an often fierce presence in my childhood. The flowers showing a well-hidden sensitive side as he went back to roaring obscenities at the obstinate cattle. Languid, brown-eyed, lazily defying their master. He would swear like a rum-filled sailor and frighten me more than the beasts at which the curses were directed. This the same uncle who built a bonfire of my grandfather's books and set it alight. Even as a child, I remember being distraught. The smell and sight of the burning pyre stays with me today. But what do burning books smell of? They smell of bitterness. They smell of an unexplored life, as duty brought the eldest son back to a farm life that he never really wanted. They smell of loneliness, for lovers and lives unknown. They smell of back-breaking work, unceasing and unrelenting. I forgive him all that today, sitting here free to write, as he never was. He taught me many things, not least of all to beware too much religion. "Stay at the back of the church," he would say. "It's bad for you to go too far in." He loved a Western. I still delight in bar-brawling scenes, as I remember his delight at the fights in some dingy saloon. He could eat a loaf of bread in one sitting. I once witnessed him eat a whole chicken and lick the bones rather than leave any behind. Most of all, he taught me an inherent respect for those that work hard to survive. For those, well, like himself, cut off from education early, to work on farms. There was never a mehel in the village without him. He helped all with sheep shearing and dipping, haymaking and saving the turf. In my adult life, I can never see a dog Rose without thinking of him, or the cancer that turned him yellow too soon. This uncle of mine, who made the hanky-headed grown men cry the day he left them. Deep under a tough exterior beat a gentle heart, with no outlet save the odd bunch of roses to a niece.
I met the love of my life at a bar on a Friday night. They bought me a drink and we sang together till the music died. I met the love of my life on a bus on a Monday morning. They tapped me on the shoulder and told me they liked the music I was blaring through my headphones. I met the love of my life in a meadow on a sunny day when we thought no one else would be there, but the right person was. I met the love of my life on O'Connell Bridge, at the edge of the cliffs of Moher, at the train station at the edge of the tracks. I met the love of my life. But I never knew them, because I was too shy to properly say hello.
Stay inside, they said. Is that so hard? I mean, why can't people just stay inside? Streets of Castlebar, the beaches around Westport and Mulranny, the Holy Mountains path, less people, but not no people. I can't say I blame them. Here I am, stuck inside these 4 walls. 3 bored children, a screaming baby, and a mother-in-law who knows better. Don't let them get away with that. Are you making the tea? And you missed a bit. Sometimes I'd like to politely ask her, would she please fuck off? It's not her fault. It's the situation we're in. So I try to breathe, fully in and fully out. My wife's the lucky one, if you can call it luck. She's a nurse in Mayo General. She's struggling with it all too. There's a lot more silences, a lot more sleeping. She doesn't want to talk about it, and I get that. But at least she gets out of this house, this town, this prison. 20 minutes in the car, there and back. Oh, what I'd give to be back commuting, letting the miles eat up these thoughts. I'm not sure how much more of this I can take. I look at my baby. He's 13 months now. Getting big, crawling, stuck in everything he can get his hands on. He has this cute, chubby face. And he always breaks out in a big smile, holding his breath whenever I tickle the small of his back. I wonder, would he be better off if I was gone now instead of later? My little girls, they help me out so much in their own ways. Doing the dishes, helping out with Keegan, and keeping Granny's teacup full. They can sense this unease in me. They know I'm off somehow. That there's something wrong with me. On my off days, it's kind of like a sixth sense. With them, they just avoid me as much as possible. Watching reruns of that homeschooling program on RTE. With your one, Moonshore Cleaner. I hate that I do this to them. Driving them away. They deserve so much better than me. I walk the dog 3 times a day. It's my only comfort. He's the most overwalked dog in Mayo. But he's the only one I can talk to. I try to keep them inside. These thoughts, these impulses, these horrible outcomes I imagine I can give myself. That will free me. But the more I try to keep them in, the more they build. Up and up. And I feel myself drowning in them. My palms are constantly sweaty. I get the shakes. I have pains in my chest. And sometimes I feel like I can barely breathe. And if I don't let whatever these thoughts are out, I think I might actually do something. Something stupid. The longer I'm stuck, confined to this house and the short walks, the more I think I want to. Right now, something stupid seems like the exact right thing to do. I can't look after myself. How am I supposed to look after my kids? My wife? The more I talk to the dog, the emptier I get, until I'm left with this one singular truth. They'll be better off without me. It makes me sad, but I know it's true. And now that I know the truth, I can't unknow it. I blame the dog, but it's not his fault. He's a good listener. I should have kept these ramblings inside my head. Fuck's sake, inside. They should have stayed inside.
It's been 9 months. I can't believe it. Where does the time go? I am feeling nervous today, and I know downing Bewley's cups of coffee certainly won't help. I leave my house to join the herd to wherever on the pack Lewis. The mother gets on and taps a guy as young as herself on the shoulder. "Excuse me." And she moves to a spot reserved for buggies. The baby's fast asleep, oblivious to the majority with their heads bowed looking into their mobile phones. For a few moments, I watch the breathing pattern of the baby. Inhale, the tummy rises. Exhale, it lowers. All in equal measure. Do you know most adults aren't taking the rejuvenated breaths we're capable of? It's a fact. Years ago, you could always tell if it was a boy or a girl. Blue for boys, pink for girls. Pink to make the boys wink, they used to say. Nowadays, with gender fluidity, I doubt if they go in for any of that stuff. The Lewis approach is charmant. You wouldn't recognise it with its regeneration facelift of posh hotels, apartments and offices. You can still see the surrounding skyline reflected in the Grand Canal, which is lovely. Few people get on at Harcourt and most people get off at St. Stephen's Green. I love the way the Lewis slithers snake-like around to Dawson Street. My student travel car dings as I tag off. On Nassau Street, the Romanian gypsy is sitting in her usual spot outside Trinity College. She stooped over and I'm not sure whether it's the golden crucifix that dangles from her neck, because to be honest with you, it looks to me as heavy as a ship's anchor. I hurry along and at the traffic lights it's Green Man walking. I noticed a mother and daughter jaywalking across Westland Road that I had seen on the Lewis earlier. They go in through the red Georgian door. I catch my walking shadow in the brass plaque on the wall and I follow in behind. They stall at reception. I know where I'm going. I climb the stairs to the top of the house, take a deep breath before I step into the classroom for the very last time. I sit my music exam in silence, only to be occasionally interrupted by the scratchings of eczema and the ringtone of the examiner's mobile phone. Goes unanswered, but the scratching continues. His hands look very sore. Finishing off with dictation and intervals, my tutor says, "Repeat these scales after me, then we're done." He plays the scales 3 times and I sing the scales back to him. Gathering up my few bits at the end of the exam, I say to him, "Thanks a million for everything, Tom, especially your patience. I know it's children you normally tutor. I hope I didn't melt your head too much. And listen, you did a fantastic job keeping those 2B yellow pencils perfectly sharpened." Bye, Tom. I close the door behind me. I go to the ladies' room, drop my school bag, lean against the wall and take a deep breath. I've done it. I've sat my final exam. My happy face looks back at me in the mirror. Jesus, woman, you've come a long way. Next thing, I'm crying. What? Why am I crying? I know why I'm crying. I'm missing that loving arm around me. Well done. I'm so proud of you. It's just one of those moments. After rinsing my hands, I stick them into one of these fancy damn Dyson dryers. Purple flashing lights. I feel like dancing, dancing. I skip down the solid stone staircase. I'm telling you, this thing is the width of a townhouse. I wave goodbye to the porter. Have a good day. Pulling open the humongous door and back out onto the busy pavement. I fancy a chat, so I decide to head for the National Art Gallery. My friend is a volunteer there. I go in, ask a reception. Is Paul working today? Let me check for you. Are you his girlfriend? Ha ha ha, now that'll be telling you. She's looking for all the gossip. He's on his day off. That's grand. I'll give him a call later. That should keep her guessing. Leaving the building, I see a sign. I make a quick turn around and go back the way I came. Shaping Ireland exhibition, €5 for students. That'll do nicely. I'm offered a headset and I oblige. Once inside the darkened rooms, I see lots of images nailed on walls. Different shapes, colours, sizes, wrap around me like a Galway shawl. She wore no jewels, no costly diamonds, no paint, no powder, no, none at all. She wore a bonnet with a ribbon on it, and round her shoulders was a Galway shawl. I love that song. Gorgeous. Out of the corner of my eye, I notice a very, very bright white light. And it's not until I get up a little bit closer I realise it's a visual installation. Does that fit? All inclusive, I suppose. I turn and I see beautiful paintings of the mountains, lakes and boglands of County Mayo. These hold an invested interest, having been introduced to Farmer Joe a few months ago. He's from Gasala. I listened to the voice in the headset from Cogan's Shed, Nick Miller, 2004. I stand back and I admire. I want to touch it. I want to smell it. I want to step into it. But without risking alarm bells going off, I close my eyes and imagine I'm there. In the stillness, my tummy starts to rumble. I need food.
All has changed. Time's been wasted. Mistakes were made, but success was tasted. What is success but a stupid word? Our quest to find it seems absurd. So I sit here drowning in the devil's brew, thinking of things I should or shouldn't do. Grasping the past, trying to reminisce, and realize all the things I've missed. Searching my soul, looking for a goal, trying to get out of my self-dug hole. You see, life, that's it. You live, you die. And in between, you wonder why. But what if I don't find this goal I crave? And what if this hole then becomes a grave? I fear I have become too cruel. Is it too late, or am I just a fool? Have all my hopes and dreams been shattered? And does it ever really matter? Leaning over, I call for another. Deja vu brings involuntary shudder. Believe in the system, just have faith. You want to love, but you love to hate. Forgetting the past, think to the future. Those things like a wound requiring a suture. The longer it's open, the more the infection. So close it up. Stop the rejection. Now, I watch my back, keep up my guard. No more will I end up being scarred. And from the path, I do not stray. Always prepared to face each day. All has changed forever. Mistakes were made, nothing new.
Mam always went to 9 o'clock Mass on Sunday morning. Before going out the door, she would shout, "Be up and dressed when I come back, or there'll be wigs on the green." We did not know what that meant, but it did not sound good. We would doze for a while with one eye on the clock, and as the hands crept closer to 10, we knew it was time to move. We hated our feet touching the cold lino, but worse was to come. No hot showers, not even hot water. A jug of cold water stood on the washstand, and we washed with that and a good lather of Lifebuoy soap. Then we would put on our Sunday clothes. From under the stairs we would take out the old Jacob's biscuit tin and carefully open the nugget polish to clean our shoes. This was a tricky job, as it was almost impossible to open it without getting it on your fingers. You had to shine your shoes until you could see your face in them. Then we would hear the dog barking, which meant Mam was on her way. By now we would be ready, except for our hair. She would brush it until your scalp tingled, and then out of the dresser she would take a box of ribbons and pick one to match your dress. We hated those ribbons. And they were kept in place with wire hair grips that dug into your scalp and made your eyes water. Now we were all ready, and it was time for the final inspection. Back and front was checked, and woe betide you if the back of your shoes were not shiny enough. Then the do's and don'ts started. Don't step in puddles or get tar on your socks. Don't tease Nora Gibbons's dog. I don't want her coming to the door complaining that ye upset her poor, sweet Fido. Huh. She should ask Pa the post how sweet he is, and him having to shake him off the leg of his trouser every morning. But no more about that now. 'Tis Sunday, and I'm after receiving the Lord. Don't stare at Maggie Ferris's warts. God made her as well, and he must have had his reasons. And last, but not least, keep well in when ye see Kate Horton's car coming. How that one got a licence is beyond me. She has the fear of God put into the whole parish, better than any preached sermon on fire and brimstone. But it's Sunday, and I'll hold me tongue. Off with you now, and do as you're told, or there'll be wigs on the green. Oh, and say a prayer for your great Aunt Maura beyond to New York that she gets a happy death. Her daughter wrote that she's not long for this world. Indeed, she could be dead by now. We've not heard, but say the prayer anyways, it won't go astray. Then, with the instructions ringing in our ears, we were off down the road with our tummies rumbling, as we were not allowed to eat from 12 the night before if we wanted to get communion. Sometimes it was hard to get a seat, and there were certain people that you did not want to sit beside, but often you had no choice. Sly Pat was one of those people. He had perfected the art of balancing his false teeth on the tip of his tongue. No matter how hard you tried, you could not stop looking. Then my sister would nudge me, and the giggling would start. Across the aisle, old Mags Gary would give us a dirty look, and you knew the next time she visited Mam, there'd be wigs on the green. Then there was Tom Patine, who thought nothing of breaking wind wherever he was. Oh, so that seat was to be avoided when possible. But worst of all was Nora Walsh, who prayed out loud and called on all the saints ever heard. And some I'm sure she made up as she went along. She did this in a sing-song voice that was like a lullaby. You had to be careful not to nod off and bang your head on the seat in front of you. After what seemed like hours, the priest would give the final blessing and we would rush for the door to get out before the crowd. By then we would be really hungry, and the blackberries along the roadside would tempt us. But with wigs on the green at the back of our minds, we could not chance getting juice on our dresses. Every house we passed on the way home reminded of us how hungry we were. The tantalising smell of the Sunday morning fry made us walk even faster. We were not even interested in Nora Gibbons's dog. Then we were home and Mam had our breakfast on the table. Each of us got a lovely crispy piece of bacon, cut from the big piece she had bought from Morris Walsh's shop. Beside that would be a golden sausage, rubbing shoulders with a slice of fried bread, with an egg resting on top. And clinging to the side of the small breakfast plate, 2 crispy rings of black pudding. Oh, how we loved that special meal, and nothing has ever tasted so good since. They were happy days. All we had to worry about was who to avoid sitting beside at Mass, and the threat of wigs on the green.